Well, we have plenty of contradictions to manage. We have a very strong backlog of signed contracts. Now with the uncertainties on trade and also on conflicts around the world.
And that plane was almost new. It had been delivered by the manufacturer Boeing around 2 months earlier. And that's too soon for a sneaker to fall apart, let alone a multi-million-dollar aircraft.
Boeing has landed its biggest ever aircraft order. The aircraft maker has agreed to sell as many as 210 wide-body aircraft to Qatar.
They came for jets. They left with doubts. The 2025 Paris Air Show, the most prestigious stage in global aviation, ended with a shockwave no one saw coming. Airbus walked away with $21 billion in orders. Boeing? Not a single major deal. It wasn't just a loss. It was a message. Loud, clear, and painful. Boeing is no longer a contender. And what happened in Paris wasn't an isolated stumble. It was a confirmation, a changing of the guard. In front of the world's cameras, Airbus inked deals for 780 new aircraft. Boeing, the name once synonymous with aviation excellence, had nothing to show. No new aircraft, no new contracts, no new confidence. Just silence. And in the aviation world, silence is deadly. It's hard to overstate how big this moment is. Deutsche Bank now estimates Boeing could lose up to 62% of the global narrow-body jet market. That's not a dip. That's a nosedive. This is the same market Boeing once dominated with the 737, a plane so iconic it shaped modern air travel. But now, that legacy is cracking, crumbling under the weight of scandals, delays, and distrust. Let's go back to the moment everything changed. Between 2018 and 2019, 2 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft went down in horrifying crashes. Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. 346 lives lost. The cause? A flawed flight control system, MCOS, that pilots didn't even know was there. Boeing didn't fully disclose it. Training manuals barely mentioned it. And when those planes dropped out of the sky, the world asked why. The answers? Disturbing. Internal memos showed a company that had become more focused on delivery quotas and stock prices than on safety and integrity. That disaster sparked a global crisis. Planes were grounded. Regulators pulled certifications. Deliveries froze. And for 19 long months, Boeing was under siege. Not just from regulators, but from the public, from its customers, from its own employees. But the problem didn't stop at the 737 MAX. It spread. Boeing's flagship 787 Dreamliner, the plane that was supposed to lead them into the future, started showing cracks. Literally. Structural defects, door plug failures, misaligned panels. Groundings followed. Then production halts. Then lawsuits. And just when Boeing needed a win, its next big hope, the 777X, stumbled. Delay after delay. Certification pushed to 2027 and beyond. Customers started walking away. And confidence vanished. Even the much-anticipated 737 MAX 10, Boeing's intended answer to Airbus's A321XLR, is still not certified. Still can't fly the long-haul routes airlines are betting on. Still lagging behind on emissions, range, and efficiency. This is where Boeing's collapse becomes more than just business. It becomes existential. Because in 2025, the aviation game isn't about flashy designs or iconic branding. It's about compliance. It's about climate. It's about who builds the cleanest plane, not the coolest one. And in that race, Airbus is not just competing. It's dominating. Their A321XLR isn't just popular. It's a revolution. A narrow-body jet with the range of a wide-body. Nearly 4,700 nautical miles. Fuel burn per seat slashed by 30%. Lower carbon taxes. Fewer refueling stops. Orders have flooded in. From JetBlue, American, Indigo, Qantas. Over 500 and counting. Meanwhile, Boeing is stuck. The MAX 10 can't compete. The Dreamliner is delayed. The 777X is a ghost. And Airbus, it's not waiting. It's A350, built with 53% carbon fiber composites, is the cleanest wide-body in the sky. Lighter, stronger, powered by SAF-certified Rolls-Royce Trent XWB engines, ready for next-gen fuels. Airbus didn't just prepare for the future, it built it. Let's look at the scoreboard. As of May 31st, 2025, Airbus had delivered 243 aircraft. Boeing? Just 220. But the difference isn't in the numbers. It's in the momentum. Airbus is scaling up in Toulouse, Hamburg, even Mobile, Alabama. Boeing? It's knee-deep in supply chain chaos, lawsuits, and investigations. The FAA is circling. Whistleblowers are speaking out. Quality control flags are being ignored, or worse, silenced. And the airlines? They're noticing. One Lufthansa exec said it best. We don't just need planes. We need reliability. Right now, Airbus gives us both. That statement alone should send shivers through Boeing's boardroom. Because it's not just about aircraft anymore. It's about trust. And Boeing has lost it. Emirates, once Boeing's loudest cheerleader, is slashing 777X orders. Air India is going Airbus. Turkish Airlines, KLM, even American carriers like Delta and JetBlue are leaning into Airbus. Why? Because they have to. Environmental compliance is no longer a buzzword. Under Europe's emissions trading system, dirty aircraft are punished. Hefty taxes, slot restrictions, regulatory headaches. Airbus's planes avoid that minefield. Boeing's? Not so much. And in a world racing toward net zero, airlines aren't just looking for range or speed. They want carbon accountability today, not in 2030. Boeing's fatal flaw? Timing. It's always a step too slow. While Airbus sells planes that hit climate benchmarks now, Boeing's answers are always on the horizon. Just a few more years, just a few more fixes. But in 2025, later doesn't cut it. Qantas knew that. When it launched Project Sunrise, the bold plan to connect Sydney to London, Brisbane to New York, they needed aircraft that could fly farther, burn cleaner, and meet tomorrow's regulations today. Airbus delivered. Boeing couldn't. And then came the Paris humiliation. Under the towering sign that read "Committed to Innovation," Boeing CEO David Calhoun stood on a stage with nothing to offer. No headline contracts, no groundbreaking tech, no bold promises, just a banner and silence. Airbus, they weren't talking innovation. They were signing it. $21 billion in new orders. 780 aircraft. It wasn't a competition. It was a coronation. And airlines noticed. American carriers noticed. Even United, long seen as Boeing's most loyal customer, is quietly hedging, diversifying its fleet with Airbus orders. JetBlue? Airbus heavy. Delta? Splitting its bets. Why? Because no one wants to be caught short when regulatory pressure tightens and delivery delays multiply. They're buying insurance. And Airbus is the only one writing the policy. But the damage isn't just logistical. It's emotional, psychological. Boeing's brand, once revered, is now avoided. A 2024 survey showed over 40% of passengers now check aircraft type before booking. Of those, 60% prefer to avoid the 737 MAX. That's no longer a PR issue. That's a consumer revolt. And internally, things aren't any better. Whistleblower complaints inside Boeing are surging. Employees are under pressure to ignore red flags, meet unrealistic deadlines, and prioritize production speed over inspection accuracy. It's not a safety culture. It's a shortcut culture. Regulators have noticed. The FAA has increased surprise inspections. European authorities are demanding independent certifications. Boeing isn't just being watched, it's being questioned. And the cracks keep showing. Just last month, a newly delivered Boeing 737 suffered a major hydraulic failure on its third flight. No crash, no injuries, but the headlines did the damage. Another Boeing under investigation. That's the story the world sees. This isn't just unfortunate. It's lethal. Because in aviation, doubt kills. Not just planes, but reputations. And Boeing is bleeding out by 1,000 tiny cuts. Meanwhile, Airbus is playing a different game. A better game. Their supply chain? Global, yes, but more importantly, resilient. Composites from Germany and Spain. Avionics from France and Japan. Titanium from Kazakhstan. All outside the US-China trade storm. All delivered on time. All feeding production lines running ahead of schedule. This isn't luck. It's strategy. Airbus has built an industrial machine that's not just meeting demand. It's shaping the next decade of flight. The aircraft rolling out of Toulouse aren't just certified for today's skies. They're already fitted for 2030 regulations. Digital maintenance systems. Hydrogen-ready designs. Next-gen SAF integration. That's future-proofing. And it's miles ahead of Boeing. Let's talk legacy. Boeing gave the world the 707, the 747, the 777. These were icons of modern flight. They redefined what was possible. But history doesn't win contracts. And it certainly doesn't fly planes. In 2025, the aviation world isn't looking at the past. It's betting on carbon metrics, delivery timelines, safety culture, compliance support. Airlines want more than aircraft. They want an ecosystem. And Airbus is delivering it. This isn't a preference shift. It's a paradigm shift. Boeing may still dominate headlines in U.S. media, but in airline boardrooms, it's Airbus that commands the throne. The numbers don't lie. The contracts don't lie. The industry has made its choice. And unless Boeing can pull off the comeback of the century, rebuild trust, overhaul its processes, and launch a next-gen fleet that meets both regulatory and commercial demands, it won't just be losing orders. It will be losing relevance. Because here's the truth. In the skies of the future, you don't win by flying fast. You win by flying clean, flying on time, and flying smart. Right now, Airbus is doing all three. Boeing? Still stuck at the gate. If you found this story revealing, eye-opening, or just deeply concerning, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Global Pulse. We bring you the full picture, no spin. And in aviation, just like in journalism, the truth is what keeps us flying straight. Until next time, stay informed.